Hey, good morning, everyone. Okay, I have to share this over into the group before we get started, and we are just waiting on Tim and Karie. So just bear with me if you're here. Shout out, say hi in the comments as we get this going. Unfortunately, it takes a bit of time to do all the things you got to do. So tell me, how have you liked the speakers so far? I'm so very blessed to have such amazing clients. That's not working. Snookies. Here we go. Go back. Share. Um, Trying to find it so I can share it with you in the group. Streaming now. Unfortunately, I can't really share this before we actually go live, so that's why we gotta do this part. All right. Posting. And oops, where'd it go? Where'd it go? All right. Hey there, Hey guys. Let's see if I
Hi.
can like. There
Here
we
we go.
go. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming on, and especially with Tim taking off his lunch break for me. I appreciate it. So we will try to make this quick for you, so you can still have some time for lunch. For those of you who have not been watching these lives the last few days, just a real quick, why are we doing this? So I have Tim and Karie here, and they are some of my clients. And I have just launched or reopened my group coaching program doors. And I wanted you to be able to hear what it's like to be coached by me in case you were wondering, is this something that I actually want to do? Is this something that's going to work for me? So thank you, Tim and Karie, for coming on. Um, right off the bat, I'm going to get started. Can you just tell me a little bit about you guys and your family?
I'll talk. I'm the talker of the family anyway. So um, we've been married for 10 years. We have 3 children, ages 7, 5, and 3, 2 boys and a girl. And I work part-time. He works full-time. So right now we're both home on and off. And the kids in school with our 3-year-old who is at home. So yeah, a little bit about us.
Thanks. So, sorry, I gotta have my notes here, otherwise I forget. What was life like before working with me, and how is it now? And I'd kind of like to hear from both of you on that one. So, individually, what's life like?
Well, we were talking about this yesterday, and we both agree that we were just on different parenting style wavelengths before we started working with you. We both have actually both have educational backgrounds, and came from very similar families, but just had different thoughts on how to discipline and take care of different situations. And it was kind of tearing us apart. We were stressed. Our oldest son has some struggles with ADHD and Tourette's and different things. And it just was very different than what we have ever experienced, of course, being our first child. So we needed help. we were fighting a lot. We were taking it out a lot with our kids, just a lot of arguing and yelling, and needed some advice on how to come about parenting in a different way with the stress that had come from the different experiences that we were dealing with. But we definitely work together way better as a team. Now, we don't always agree, but and as Mary has seen in our sessions at times, but you've always done a great job at helping us come together with a plan together, which we have taken that further now in our parenting with our children to work together, come up with a plan that fits both of us and what we think should happen. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think before sitting down with you, we would go to different people for advice, maybe separately or maybe together, and it didn't seem to get anywhere for us, and nothing seemed to be working. And I would say we're both pretty stubborn in the way that we think what we think, and that's the way it needs to go. And for a long time, we just let that headbutting take place, and finally we stepped up and made a decision and said we need someone that actually has some knowledge in some of the things we're dealing with. We need that outside third party, non-judgmental person, outside of our family and friend group, to just at the very least, we needed someone to be a mediator to tell us, to validate some of the things we were feeling and kind of just guide us in the right direction. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Sorry. I'm dealing with a child over here as well. So sometimes I'm like looking off over there. What has been your favorite part about working with me?
Well, you're fun, first of all. I think you bring knowledge that we've heard before to us in a different way that it sticks with us and helps us to both understand it. I'm trying to think of a specific one at the moment, but of course I can't. But, everybody gives us advice throughout the years, and sometimes we choose to listen to it. Sometimes we say it's not going to work. But a lot of times when you have brought us advice, it's a way of understanding where we're coming from and where our child is coming from, instead of just telling us this is what you need to do. And so I've really appreciated that part of it. I can tell him things, he can tell me things, and we're both stubborn, as he said, and we don't always want to listen to it. So having that other person take what we're saying and combine it together to make the plan that we originally were trying to do together, that has been probably the best thing. You've brought us together. You've seen us at our best, and you've seen us at our worst on calls, and you've always been a great mediator, not taking one side, which has been great.
Something I've really valued is that a lot of the experiences we've gone through and we're going through, and things that we have told you about our oldest son with the most things going on in his head, a lot of it you've either lived or living now or are dealing with yourself. So that's really been a neat perspective to have your perspective on things that he's dealing with, whether it's ADHD or anxiety or whatever it is. It's been nice that you've been able to kind of translate things that he might be thinking or the way that he's acting. That's helped me a lot, because that's been the biggest hurdle for me personally, is just I don't understand what you're doing and why you're doing these things, and how could you possibly act that way if you love us or if you respect us. So for me, that's been really valuable to work with you personally.
Oh, thanks, guys. These things make me cry.
I promise you, these weren't even rehearsed. I had no idea what we were.
Hold on, we need to flip the page of the script you wrote us, Mary.
Okay. Whew. Of all the experts that you heard, and saw, what made you decide to work with me specifically? It could be either of you. Yeah.
Well, it was interesting because I've done all the therapy sessions with our child, mostly because I work part-time and they're during the day. So I've taken our child to different therapists where he's talked with them, and I'll communicate with them as well. And I realized that, as much as they're working with them, I needed some advice myself, and just the way some of them went about things, it wasn't getting far or I didn't care for the way they treated me or talked with me, made me feel like a dumb parent in different ways. And your name came up when I reached out in a Facebook group, a mommyhood group, asking for advice. And somebody had recommended you. And so I clicked on your link and we did that little consult of just meeting you and talking with you. And both of us, I mean, I could feel it from him before we even ended the call that you were just the perfect person that we needed to talk with to help us, because the way, we could feel the love and the heart that you have for helping our children and helping us, which was the big thing. So we just had a bond with you right away. And I know you did that call with us, not even planning to do anything further. And we reached out to you with it. So that right away, just your personality and the way we felt like you weren't there to just tell us what to do. You were there to help us as parents.
Oh, yes, exactly. Yes, I love all. And that is, and I want people to know that. Like, a lot of people think, oh, I had somebody tell me, oh, anytime I see a parenting coach, I just assume they're going to tell me what I have to do and judge me if I don't do it just their way. And that is like the exact opposite of what I hope anybody that comes to me leaves with.
And we didn't always do what you said, but
Nope.
you don't judge us on that either, and it's just, but there's been different times it's come up later on. We're like, maybe we should try that, and we've really appreciated that. We don't feel forced to do anything. It's tips and things to help us, and we take it and do what we want with it.
Yeah. And sometimes you're working on something for a while and you can't get to all the other ideas, right? Because you have to focus on just one at a time. So there's no shame in that game. Okay. What areas did you find yourself wanting to grow in that led you to working with me? And we talked about, you wanted some help dealing with your oldest, but what areas did you personally want to grow in?
I think, like I said earlier, kind of knowing what he's thinking and how he's thinking, our oldest, and I guess this is applying to all of them now at this point with the way they're all headed, behaving lately. But anyways, for me, it's helped tremendously. Like I said, having that different perspective and being able to understand how they think. So I wanted to grow in that area for sure, because I was headed down a path that was leading to destruction, trying to imagine the way that they're thinking. And I was so stubborn that I thought for sure they needed to act this way because this is how I grew up and everything else. So, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of helping. I mean, I worked a lot with him. It was very different for the both of us, but it was a struggle too. It got to a point where I was at my wit's end and I started getting angry and my patience had gone thin, that I just needed a new light to come in and help. And so I was looking for ways to deal with the stress that had come from trying to parent him, parenting separate ways, which also caused that struggle. Just that connection as a family is where I was looking to grow, which I definitely 100% know that happened. We've seen it in different ways in the way our children have come to us and talk with us more and have grown too. So we needed that connection as a family again, because we had started to separate in our thoughts and our feelings, and our anger and frustration started to really get in the middle of everything.
And that happens with all relationships, right? When we start to see, we kind of get, I think, compassion fatigue, right? Like, it's just, I got nothing left. And that's when you need to bring someone in and help you out, because you can't just fake it till you make it on that. All right. How has your mindset changed in your time working with me?
You want to start?
You go.
I do feel like there's a lot more calmness with the anxiety that we feel at times. Trying to look at the positive things instead of focusing on what our child is doing, but understanding why. Is he doing this because he needs something, or is he doing this because he wants something and he's just being silly or whatever? But our mindset has kind of opened up a lot more to understanding our child's needs and why he's acting the way he is, which has helped us to approach different situations a little bit calmer with less stress. Also helping us to understand of what might come based on what's happening in our life. You just have opened our minds to how we think and why we think and our actions based on our thoughts. There was a phrase you said, and I'm trying to remember it now at the moment too. And it was something with actions and our thoughts. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, our thoughts. Oh goodness, I gotta remember it now too. Basically, our thoughts dictate our feelings.
Yeah.
Which then lead to our actions.
And affect our actions. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as much as that's common sense, that one has really, like, the triangle makes me think of it, and helping me to remember that, okay, you're acting this way. Why are you acting this way? Which we would have asked them before, but it's more of a frustration. Why are you acting this way? Or why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Instead of talking with them and really understanding what it is he is going through, whether it be he's overstimulated or, something is really eating at him from the inside and we don't know. So just approaching him with more grace and how we parent, I think, has been the biggest mindset change for us.
I think for me.
So this wasn't on my list. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, for me, I was kind of set in my way that I needed to correct all the things my kids were doing and the way they were behaving and the way that they thought and acted. But since talking it through and reasoning and hearing both sides of the story and hearing more from the kids and then from you, now I feel like I'm really growing along with them rather than trying to correct what he's doing and you need to do this my way. Now we've kind of adapted and learned and grown through that. And now, we were headed on a path that's either parallel or maybe even apart, but now we're slowly, but surely coming together. And that's me and Karie as well as us and the kids. I feel like it's because it's not going to be a perfect quick solution. There just isn't, unfortunately, a quick solution for something like this, but it was very comforting to finally be headed in that direction. I remember the week we talked about it, we were finally like, I feel like things are getting less and less severe and less crazy every time we have some sort of disagreement or something with the kids happen. So it was just super comforting.
Yeah, I remember last night we were just talking about it because we're coming to the end of our program together. And it was like, man, we went from like 2-hour phone calls at the beginning and now we're like, oh, hey, it's 45 minutes.
And we had to cut it off at 2 hours of, we will have to do this next time. I mean, we were just.
Yeah. So it's like just come such a long way. And you guys are like, I was like, well, we could add, because of holidays and things, we're like, we could add another day there. You're like, no, I think we're actually good. Like,
Yeah.
There's no big emergencies anymore.
Right.
I love it. How do you think your new perspective has affected your kids and their behaviors? I know that wasn't a part of my question, but.
I think they can see the change in us for sure.
Yeah.
I might still lose my patience more often than I'd like to and raise my voice still more often than I'd like to. But I think the reason they've turned around as much as they did is because they saw that we were working towards it. They'd come out during our meetings while we're talking to you, so they knew every other week that we were working on this. We were going to get through it, and yeah.
There was a lot of angry words between our children, and part of that is our oldest struggles with anger. So he would lash out in anger, and we would start to lash out. We started to partly copy him because it was so much that we started to get angry. And when we changed our mindset of approaching it in a calmer way, or trying to understand him, now when he instantly responds, or even our second, who's going through his own little phase right now, let's approach it a different way. And how can you say that differently? Maybe, or kind words. And just, I notice now saying things like that with them, they will stop it and they'll change it. Even our 3-year-old, who has her own little sass that she's copied, it's the domino effect, just keeps going. And obviously there's still angry words that get said. That's never going to go away 100%, but we can stop. We all take breaths. They see us taking breaths. We've said, okay, mom and dad are taking a breath for a minute, or I need to just breathe and I need you to let me be for a few as I take my breaths. And yesterday our oldest was in the car and he was having a meltdown because he didn't want to go with me to his sister's dance lesson. And he's freaking out in the car, and all of a sudden it was just silence. And I didn't say anything. And a few minutes later, he says, "Mom, it worked." Okay, well, what worked? I don't know what you did, but it did work. And he responded that he took 5 big breaths, and that helped him to get off. And so he knew mentally he needed to change his mindset and focus on getting himself into that calm state, which is a lot of what you had worked on with us. And so I don't know if it was from us teaching him those skills, of us showing those skills to him, but he's definitely picked up on them more. It's been something we've been trying to get him to do, and he wasn't always doing. But I think the fact that we were doing it and saying it out loud to him and showing him that really helped him to change his mindset when he's in that angry state. So that was something big yesterday, which I hadn't seen him really do a ton of. So that stuck out to me. I don't think I even told you that yesterday, but
you did. Can I have the light back on, please? Thank you. And just to be clear, everyone, they are working with therapists for their son, and then they're working with me for them. So this is really like a group effort that we are all having. So I can't take all the credit, but I do think the fact that they are modeling the same things that he's learning is really helped kind of bridge that gap for sure. Yeah. All right, 2 last questions. What would you say to the parent who is currently in the position that you were in?
Get help. Because it's just
get help now.
Yes. Early on, those, as much as you think it doesn't hurt to hear it again, but to also hear it in a way that opens up your mind. Because once you get down a spiraling path, I mean, I went through depression with everything that happened when we didn't know what was going on with our child. And it just created, I mean, we've always been very close and we've always been a great team. But there was a huge separation there. And having kids, never thought that they would be the struggle in our relationship, but it was a struggle with what we were dealing with. And, I feel 10 years later, we're in a really good spot. And obviously we're going to go like this throughout our marriage, but it really has helped us with communicating as a team, and as parents. So definitely reach out for that help and do it together. Because one person, I was doing all the therapies with our child. I was getting all the knowledge and coming home and trying to explain it to him. It wasn't the same, as me telling him what to do, where he wasn't hearing it. And maybe I say it a little bit different, or we weren't agreeing with things, but when we go at it together, that really opened us up for understanding why together, and not just me telling him this is what needs to happen and him feeling like I was trying to control his parenting style. So do it together.
Yeah, that was for sure what I was going to say, is that one person can't carry the load. And really, I think to utilize this to the best of your ability, to utilize something like this would be to do it together and have input from both of you, and both of you receiving that advice or that knowledge or tips and tricks or whatever it is. So for me, that was my biggest advice to anybody that might be going through something like this.
Tim, sorry, wrong question. Wrong button. What would you say to the dad who doesn't agree with this parenting style at first?
That's him.
I would say I was very hard-headed on a lot of this stuff, and I say it again, stubborn. And I think a lot of men kind of will react that way, and a lot of us are built that way. But I would say it takes something like this to where it's a platform where you're being open and honest, and you're with someone who's not going to judge. And like Karie said before, you were that person for us that there was no judgment. Either you heard a lot of things that we talked about that were like, if we said that to our friends or our parents or family, they would think way differently of us. So yeah, to the men, I would say to just, open up your eyes, your ears, and your heart to something like this, to get the best value out of it. But just to be vulnerable. It's difficult, it's uncomfortable, but it's also necessary.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think so many, especially the moms, there's mostly moms watching, and they'd love to get their husbands on board, but they just kind of like, yeah, no, I don't believe in that. So it really helps to hear from a dad that's kind of made that transition. So one last question. What do you love most about parenting now?
I love the snuggles that they want and the communication that they want to share with us. I feel like that has opened a lot where we get to hear from them, and just the joys. Love listening to their stories, but the communication is a lot more present in our family, and they want to come be with us. We're not always pushing them away. We still have those moments where we need our space, but just feeling like we're more of a team as a family has helped too. So the joys of being a part of that with them, their teammates, I guess.
I was going to say, I think I spent a lot of time talking at my kids instead of talking to them. And since making that investment, spending more time talking with them, it's been great to watch them grow and come tell me that things they're excited about, and we sit and solve those problems together rather than just yelling until the yelling stops, or someone gets sick of yelling and walks away and does something different. It's been good to work through those problems and just sit and spend more time with them. And now the kids want to come up and read to us, read with us. We're spending a lot of nights reading before bed, and that just, before it was, I don't want to see you anymore tonight. I'm kind of done. So let's just be separate. And now we spend that time together happily instead of trying to get out.
And it's fun watching how all three kids have kind of, they were a lot more mommy's kids than daddy's, because I work with them all day long, and the fact that I'm the one that does that stuff with them, and he was working more. But our kids have become daddies boys and daddy's girls, which is it's now that we're trying to take that on right now. Our 3-year-old is sitting close to us, and she every morning has to go in and say hi to daddy and get his snuggles. And every once in a while, it's I want my daddy snuggles, or then she'll say, okay, no, I want. But it has become more of both of us. And I was used to it being just me, which was a different thing. I mean, I love it. I love and hate it at the same time. But it is great that I feel like they've taken on to both of us instead of just one person all the time.
Love that. Thank you. Anything else that you want to share?
Anybody that's looking at this, I will say the biggest thing that helped, I was always trying to get him to come or be a part of the therapy, which was hard for him. He wanted to be in a different way, but it was hard. So doing this online and when we're available really helped. But then also that consult with you, I mean, he didn't want to do therapy. I don't think I really wanted to either. We were at a point that we just knew we needed to do something, but just that first where we just talked to you without even coming to you saying, hey, we want to start a parenting session. We just came to you and you did that one beginning thing with us of just talking, getting to know us and our child. Like, do that. If you're on the fence with something, like that's where we knew that this was where we needed to go. There was no pressure at all. Again, I think you were shocked that we end up messaging you afterwards because we just came to you for a little free session of a little consult that you did in the beginning, and right away before we were even done or at the end of it, we emailed you and said what do we need to do to continue this, because it was just that little talk of we just knew that was exactly what we needed. So I would encourage just reaching out with the husband, say, hey, this isn't something that is committed, but let's just talk and see what there is to offer to us. Because, yeah, I definitely strongly encourage doing it together. It's very different than doing it by yourself as one parent.
One thing I would say is your flexibility is unmatched, I think.
Yes.
Probably in this industry. That for me, that's what really opened up a wide range of possibility. It was, most offices or something along these lines, it would be like an 8 to 5 or a 9 to 5 gig. And to take an hour out of my work schedule, difficult and inconvenient. And I'm sure it's inconvenient for you to do meetings at 8 and 9 o'clock at night as well. But the way that you've made it work, and the days where kids are all sick and something happens, or we forget that the meeting is happening, and you're able to reschedule without judgment, whether or not you were making faces behind the phone or not.
I can't see you're doing that one.
It just, for us, that's really what made it work with you specifically too, was, I don't like to do things virtually, but for this purpose, it worked out great. For the fact that we could do it anytime, anywhere. I mean, I think we even had to do it on vacation at some point. I don't know if we had to or not, but
our next session, we're going to be separate states. Yeah. So,
so it opens up a whole world of availability on both ends. So that's really appreciated.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad. Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming on and doing this. And, we've been working together for so long that sometimes I forget all those early moments, and it just warms my heart to hear. Oh God.
Well, you're getting me
hear how I know I can't even speak now. So just thank you.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate, because you really honestly have changed our lives and very most possibly, saved our marriage from going down a really bad path. So, then you saw. I'll never forget the one session we had where we were just not together in our thought process. We were arguing. You were a great mediator, and you were also somebody that reached out to both of us to make sure I wasn't overpowering, because that's what I do. you heard him, and that's something he needed as well, and helped me to do that. So we really appreciate what you've done with our marriage and our parenting life. So
Oh, good. I'm glad. Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will talk soon. Bye.
all right, bye.
Sounds good. Thanks.
So